Welcome back everyone. On popular demand, a much awaited video on request, workbook solutions. The Pedestrian, written by Bradbury. Not just the workbook RTC questions but also specimen paper questions and answers. This is a one-shot video, so be patient and watch the entire session to be 100% exam ready. Do check the pinned comment section for all important video links related to your syllabus and kindly subscribe to our channel as well. Before starting today's discussion, I will just give you one meaning. Dystopian. See, dystopian, it's there on the screen. Go through the meaning. This is the concept which will come again and again in my answers. It is a frightening society or world that is extremely bad, and people here live fearful and dehumanized lives. Dystopian societies are often imagined to be in the future and are often the result of a society's laws and government being arranged around something bad. Question 1. Why was there complete silence on the city streets at 8 o'clock in the evening? Who was the lone traveler who entered into that silence and why was he there at that time? 3 subparts. So change paragraphs. 3 paragraphs for 3 subparts. This is a difficult story, so try to clarify your concepts along with me. Come on. Why was there complete silence on the city streets at 8 o'clock in the evening? There was complete silence on the city streets at 8 o'clock in the evening because it was a cold and misty November evening. The other people remained inside their homes watching television and mesmerized by the programs on their television screens. I have given 3 probable reasons. Number 1, it was a cold and misty November evening. Number 2, the people remained inside their homes indoors. And number 3, they were watching television, mesmerized. I will just omit and television, mesmerized by the programs on their television screens. So here are the keywords and expressions. Who was the lone traveler who entered into that silence? Leonard Mead was the lone traveler who entered into the silence. And why was he there at that time? He enjoyed walking in the streets of the city alone every night. Thus, it was one night in his life and he was walking. And these are reference answers. You know by now. Take help from here and frame your own answers according to the questions available. Question number 2. Who was Leonard Mead and what did he love dearly? For how long had he been pursuing what he loved dearly? Leonard Mead, the protagonist of Bradbury's The Pedestrian, is a resident of an unnamed city in the year 2053. See, this is a key word. Protagonist of the story. I have named the story along with the author, and he is a resident of an unnamed city in the year 2053. He is unmarried. Additional information about this man, a writer by profession, though he has not written for years. What did he love dearly? He had been pursuing solitary nightly walks through the city for a long time. He loved putting his feet upon that buckling concrete walk, stepping over grassy seams and making his way hands in pocket through the silences dearly. So he loved this. This is there in your textbook. Read the textbook thoroughly. The solitary walks through the city. He loves this the most. He loves this very dearly. And for how long had he been pursuing what he loved dearly? He had been doing this for 10 long years. This is question number 2. And now question number 3. What is meant by it really made no difference. The expression it really made no difference means pointless and inconsequential. This is a new term perhaps. What is the meaning of inconsequential? Unimportant, irrelevant. What is suggested about Leonard by this sentence? At intersections, Mead peers in all directions, choosing which way to go. Although choosing a particular direction makes no difference. As he stands at the crossroads, he looks to his right, he looks to his left, he looks in all directions to decide which way to choose. But after all, after much thinking, he feels that choosing a particular direction makes no difference, is irrelevant, is pointless. He believes that the city has become a homogeneous, uniform environment, all the same. Wherever you look, it is all the same, no change at all. The lack of diversity, homogeneous means lack of diversity and individuality makes the direction he chooses irrelevant. Moreover, he is not interacting with anyone, suggesting loss of human connections and the superficiality of modern society. Therefore, everything seems irrelevant. There is a choice, but what's the use of choosing? Because everything is the same and he is not interacting with anyone. If he had been interacting with someone, probably it would make sense to choose a particular direction. Here he is walking all by himself. And so this shows loss of human connections. He has no connections at all, no emotional attachment with any other human being because of the superficial, artificial, modern society. And this is what the meaning is of it really made no difference. This is the significance, the suggestion. Now, why is he described as alone in this world of 2053 AD? Now, dear students, I have written the answers in detail so you can take points from these reference materials to frame your own answers. I have incorporated as many important key words and expressions, as many points as possible in my answers so that you can pick points from here and frame your own answers accordingly, according to the questions available. Why is he described alone in this world of 2053 AD? The other citizens are inside their homes indoors watching television. Mead on the other hand, so there is a difference. I have pointed out the contrast. Mead on the other hand is outdoors. This is the contrast. Very, very important. Other citizens indoors and Mead outdoors. Hence he is disconnected from the rest of the society and this is his physical isolation. He is alone in this world. Why? Because people are indoors and he is outdoors. Next, not just physical isolation, his emotional disconnection from the people around him makes him alone. This is the second reason, emotional disconnection after physical isolation. He thinks, observes, while others rely on instant gratification and mindless entertainment. In this dystopian future, modern society is superficial and empty, but he does not conform to it and is isolated. Non-conformity of Leonard Mead is another reason why he is alone. Number one reason, therefore, number one, we have physical isolation. People are indoors. He is outdoors. He is not watching television. Number two, he is not connected with anybody. Emotional disconnection. People around him. He is not associated with them in any way. Therefore, he is alone. Next, we have he observes. He thinks, while others rely on instant gratification and mindless entertainment. So this is another difference. Intellectually also, they are not on the same platform. And in this dystopian future, modern society is superficial and empty, and he does not conform to it. He realizes it, he exposes it, and he does not conform to it. Non-conformity makes him alone and he is isolated. So modern world values conformity, superficiality. These are important words from this text. So these are the probable reasons why he is described as alone in this world of 2053 AD. What is suggested by the phrases final decision made and a path selected? What do these phrases tell about Mead? The phrases final decision made and path selected suggest. So there are many questions where suggestions are asked. The inner significance of words and expressions are asked in this lesson. So you need to understand the concepts. This is a difficult story. Suggests that Mead rejects the concept of staying indoors and watching television, and he chooses to walk and observe. This is his final decision. He will not stay indoors. He will observe the world around him. He has contemplated and introspected, and then he chose the course of his life, highlighting his freedom and autonomy. He is free to take his own decisions. So what is the path selected? Not to watch television, not to stay indoors. What is the final decision made? He will walk and observe the world around him. And he has done this after much contemplation and introspection. What is the meaning of contemplated and introspected? Thought deeply. And then he chose the course of his life, path selected. What is the significance? Suggestion. These phrases reveal that Mead is a non-conformist. Very, very important concept. Who is a non-conformist? One who does not obey the laws, the established laws of the society, social norms and rules. One who is a rebel. He rebels against orthodox social norms, conventionality. So he is a non-conformist. His individuality and non-conformity make him an outsider, but Mead is firm in his decision. This is also important. Firm decision. Decision made shows that after much contemplation and introspection, he has come to a conclusion. He has taken a decision, and he will move at his pace and tread the unconventional path. So this is a sign of non-conformity. Instead of blindly following the conventional path, Mead has chosen the unconventional path so that he can retain his autonomy and freedom. So this is extract number 1. Extract number 2. Why does Mead make a deliberate attempt not to produce any sound while walking? If he wore hard-soled shoes, SHOES, he would be noticed and disturbed by dogs or by neighbors who are startled by the passing of a lone figure himself in the streets. Thus, he makes a deliberate attempt not to produce any sound while walking. Metaphorically, the inner meaning, preserving his chance to cultivate his individuality on his walks. This is his me time. This is the time when he speaks to himself, when he observes nature, when he grows intellectually, when his personality develops, when he feels peaceful. So this is the time when he gets a chance to cultivate his individuality, and he does not want to waste this chance. He does not want anybody to disturb him, and therefore he makes a deliberate attempt not to produce any sound while walking. Why does Leonard Mead start wearing sneakers instead of hard heels while strolling at night? He started wearing sneakers instead of hard heels while strolling at night to avoid making noise with his feet on the lumpy walk. This decision points to the danger he might be in were he discovered walking. He is a nonconformist. He is challenging the social norms, and therefore he is in danger. So he does not want to be noticed by anybody. He consciously and judiciously, wisely wears sneakers to continue his meditation and contemplation, rejecting modernity, absolutely undisturbed. He wants to do this undisturbed. He wants to meditate. He wants to contemplate. He rejects modernity, and he wants to do it absolutely undisturbed. He knows he is defying the social norms. What is suggested by Mead's act of wearing sneakers? What is suggested by Mead's act of wearing sneakers? Mead is a wise man, thinks and takes his decision. Unlike the other people who are passive, unresponsive, and only think of instant gratification and mindless entertainment, there is a difference between the other citizens of this dystopian future and Mead. Mead is a wise man. He uses his mind. But the other people have become passive, unresponsive. His decision is also wise. He wants to walk quietly and unobtrusively without being noticed, undisturbed, avoiding attention in a society where walking at night is considered unusual and suspicious. So you are not allowed to walk alone at night. Walking is considered to be an aberration. It's there in your textbook. What is the meaning of aberration? See, the meaning is there on the screen. A lapse, an irregularity, abnormality. Why is he described as a lone figure who would get startled by his walk at night, and why? The street was silent, long, and empty. There was nobody outdoors. They were inside their homes watching television. Thus, Mead was a lone figure on the street. So, the people were inside their homes watching television. Thus, Mead was a lone figure on the street. Mead's physical isolation is suggested over here. Who would get startled? An entire street, that is, the people living there, would be startled by his walk. The neighbors, the residents. And why? The people would be astonished to see him walking, as in the dystopian future, going for a walk is seen as an aberration and regressive. It is not right, it is improper. This shows how conformist this society is. So, non-conformity of Leonard Mead versus the conformity of this society in the dystopian future. This is a major theme of this story. Next, explain briefly the characteristic traits of Leonard Mead as reflected in this extract. He is thoughtful. He is observant. In his 10 years of walking for thousands of miles, he had never met another man walking. Hence, he does not want attention from others or be noticed by others. He is a nonconformist as well and wants to walk quietly. His actions can be seen as a form of defiance and rebellion against the societal norms. And therefore, he has been walking and walking and walking for 10 long years. No stopping. Extract number 3. It's there on the screen. Just have a look. What does Mead think about murmur of laughter, whispering, murmur of laughter? Leonard Mead wonders. If he hears laughter from one of the houses, but hearing nothing more, he continues walking. He's not sure. He hesitates. He wonders. What does it suggest about his connection with other people? He could have got in and looked if anybody was laughing. Did he do so? No. What did he do? He heard nothing more and he continued walking. He hesitated also. Means disconnection from the other citizens. So human disconnection is another theme of this story. Means disconnection from the other citizens is suggested when he thinks he hears them but cannot be sure. He hesitates. Social bonds are completely lost in the modern society. Mead does not go inside the home of others but moves past the moon-white house. He wants to walk at night quietly. He does not want to go inside this home but moves past the moon-white house. He wants to walk at night quietly. He does not want to be disturbed. He is not disturbing others, but he wonders if he hears laughter from one of the houses. Because it is usually quiet. People are glued to their television screens. They do not speak to each other. They just watch television programs and nothing else. They are unresponsive. They are passive, like ghosts. Why does he stumble while walking? He stumbles as he steps on a particularly uneven section of sidewalk. So this is the answer. And walking is a challenge. This shows that walking is a challenge. Add this. Walking is not easy in this kind of society. He is in danger and he will have to pay a price for this also later. So walking is a challenge, and this stumbling shows this. It is not easy as it seems to be. What does cement was vanishing suggest? The expression cement was vanishing suggests that the city backdrop was vanishing and he was walking on grass. And there were flowers suggesting his close proximity with nature. The word cement stands for urbanization and industrialization, development of cities and industries in the modern society. Metaphorically, it is symbolic of his connection to nature in contrast to the artificial and barren modern world. Cement, artificial, barren modern world, and flowers and grass, his connection to nature. Next. Why has he not encountered another person on the road in 10 years of the solitary walks? In the dystopian future, in the unnamed city in 2005-353, people stay indoors, glued to their television screens. Going for a walk is an aberration, a lapse. They have been socially conditioned not to go for a walk. Thus, Mead has not encountered another person on the road in 10 years. They are conformists. And he is a non-conformist. Non-conformity versus conformity and obedience. They have been told by the state, instructed by the state to stay indoors, watch television. And they are doing exactly the same. But he has been walking for 10 long years and he will continue to do so. And he has not met any other person. What does it suggest? The people are passive. They have listened to the state. They are unresponsive and they represent conformity and obedience. They lack individuality also. Autonomy, very important. Freedom. And prioritizes technology and consumption. They have to consume the products produced by advancement in technology. They have to watch television. The state has told them to do so, and they will do exactly that. How does this extract reveal the dormant potential of nature? Since the story is set in winter, in the early November evening, it is winter, trees have shed their leaves, air is frosty, sea is hidden, and the leaf is skeletal. Like the ghost-like people inside their homes, nature is not at its full potential, but is still beautiful and full of the promise of coming back to life, rejuvenated self. Still, it is an escape from the dull, lifeless landscape of modern city. Mead is heading towards communion with nature. This is the potential of nature concept. I have discussed the concept in detail. So take help from this reference answer and frame your own answer. The length will be automatically adjusted. Again, another important concept discussed in detail. I have done this in detail for your benefit. Take points from this answer. Explain briefly the theme of non-conformity as presented in the story. The citizens of the future city are being described as all the same. They are all the same. They are dehumanized and passive, silent as well, unresponsive. Mead is different from everyone else. He asserts his autonomy and individuality in a society that expects conformity. Very, very important. He leads a fulfilling life by doing what he enjoys. And what does he enjoy? Walks. Instead of following social norms. He is punished for this. He is the only character. Yet he is the only character who seems happy or fulfilled. His enduring humanity within an entirely dehumanized society is worth his defiance. So you can write till here. This is an added piece of information. You can use this in some other answer. Extract 4 now. Where was Mead when he saw a lone car? What was the lone car in actuality? Leonard Mead turned back on a side street, circling around toward his home. He was within a block of his destination when the lone car turned a corner. So, he was within a block of his destination. And he turned back on a side street, circling around toward his home. And what was the lone car in actuality? A police car, the only one in the city. State 2 figures of speech used in the given line below. This is the line. The expression flashed a fierce white cone of light is an example of alliteration. Flashed and fierce. And the car is personified over here. The car is lonely, that is alone, single, turning a corner quite suddenly. The figure of speech is personification. In fierce, we have foreboding, foreshadowing as well. But there is a question later and we will not repeat this. We will use alliteration and personification over here. How did Mead react to the light flashed on him by the car? Mead stood entranced, not unlike a night moth, stunned, entranced, stunned by the illumination. Very important keywords and expressions. He was entranced, enchanted, and then drawn toward it. What is suggested by Mead's comparison with a moth? This is a simile, and the simile comparing Mead to a moth shows that, like the other citizens, Mead is also in danger of what? Of losing his humanity, dehumanization. We will see this in extract 5 as well. Loss of humanity at the hands of the state authority. And how does this extract convey the feeling of fear and foreboding? The suddenness of Mead's encounter with the lone car and the car's fierce beam of light convey fear and foreboding. The car spells danger for Mead. His reaction to the light also forebodes his loss of control. He is entranced and he is stunned and he is drawn toward it. He is as if hypnotized, and this forebodes his loss of control and the disintegration, breaking down of his sense of self. This is the answer. Extract 5. Why did the voice from the police car speak in a metallic whisper? Why could not Mead see the men in the car? The voice from the police car spoke in a metallic whisper to inquire about Leonard Mead's name and profession. The word metallic denotes that the voice from the police car is harsh, inhuman, menacing, threatening. The metallic voice represents dehumanization of society, where technology has replaced human interaction, and emotion, representing strict state authority. Metallic voice, very stern and strict, without any emotion. Mead could not see the men in the car for the bright light in his eyes. Why was there only one car? Waning crime rate has eliminated the need for a large police force, and this vehicle was the city's only police car. Low crime rate. Therefore, just one police car is needed. What does it suggest about the people of the city? The low crime rate shows the extent, the limit, the degree to which the people have become conformist and obedient, docile, subject to strict state control. The state controls them. There is no crime, very low crime rate. Therefore, police force is not needed that much. What was Mead's profession? Why did the police car describe it as no profession? Mead was a writer, though he has not written in years. In the dystopian future, people are no longer interested in writing or reading. Lack of demand. Devaluation of intellectual pursuits. Nobody is interested in reading storybooks, in intellectual pursuits. The rise of anti-intellectualism. They are passive, they are unresponsive, they are just watching television programs. Homogenization of thought. They are thinking, everyone is thinking the same thing. They do not have a choice. They are not taking any decisions. They are just following rules, social rules, state rules. All these factors have conditioned the voice to denounce, to look down upon, to criticize writing, to declare that writing is a no profession. No monetary benefit from writing. Explain briefly the simile in this extract. What is the simile? The light held Leonard Mead fixed like a museum specimen, needle thrust through chest. This is the simile. Read the text and you will get the answer. This is the simile, and this highlights the theme of dehumanization in the story. The image of Mead as an insect. Human beings are as insignificant, petty as insects now. Dehumanization. The image of Mead as an insect killed to be studied foreshadows. Foreshadowing is an important figure of speech, foreshadows the story's ending. When he loses his freedom, important, and is taken away to the psychiatric institution, thereby wholly stripped of his humanity and agency as an individual. So, a nonconformist, Leonard Mead, is also stripped of his humanity. This is the price he pays for his nonconformity and disobedience. Why had not Mead written anything for years? Mead had not written anything for years since magazines and books did not sell anymore. Which characteristic trait is revealed in this extract? Mead's characterization as a non-conforming individual is evident when he reveals that he still considers himself as a writer. He has been unwilling to give up his vocation and identity in order to follow economic trends. He is a writer, though he has not written for many years, but he still identifies himself as a writer. His nonconformity is a conscious attempt to retain his individuality. It is a conscious decision. Now, Specimen paper 2, page 188, Morningstar Workbook, section C, question 5. I have solved these questions as well for you, dear students. Who is referred to as he in the extract? Leonard Mead, the protagonist of Ray Bradbury's The Pedestrian, is referred to as he in this extract. And why would he walk for hours and miles? Why? He enjoyed walking so much. What was the reason? He would walk for hours and miles because he loved most dearly such solitary walks through the city in close communion with nature, peaceful solitude, and his inner self. This is the time when he spends time with himself, he feels peaceful, and he is in close contact with nature. Why does he say that it was not unequal to walking through a graveyard? The graveyard imagery, motive, very, very important. On his way, he would see the cottages and homes with their dark windows, and it was like passing through a graveyard. Very important motive. This symbolizes the burial. Number 1, learn this ditto. Burial of human connection, burial, death, and community, death of community life. Number 1. The people always remained indoors, were isolated, social bonds were lost, death, leaving only a barren and a lifeless landscape. As a result of the death of community, the landscape was also barren and lifeless. People were passive. Number 3, people were passive, lifeless, trapped in their grave-like homes. Homes were also grave-like, and they were as good as dead. They were as good as dead, almost dead, ghost-like, grave-like homes because of their passivity, lifelessness, and they were trapped in their grave-like homes. So landscape also lifeless, people were also lifeless, hence the graveyard motif. Explain the meaning of faintest glimmers of firefly light appeared in flickers in your own words. The expression faintest glimmers of firefly light appeared in flickers means the soft, intermittent glow of television screens visible through the windows of houses as Leonard Mead walks by. TV screens are flickering like fireflies, and they cast dim shadows, and that can be seen through the windows. Who are described as grey phantoms? Again, the death imagery. Phantoms related to death. Death, graveyard, tomb-like building. Very important motives. Death. The people of the unnamed city in the dystopian future who are watching television in their homes are described as grey phantoms, spirits. Why? They appear pale, important, ghostly, lifeless, definitely, as if they are dead, yet haunting their homes. They are motionless. emotionless, and metaphorically death. So, death of individuality. They are no longer lively, vigorous, full of energy, vitality. They are pacified. They are their pacification in front of television screens. Like statues, they sit. Show they are devoid of any signs of liveliness, hence phantom, zombie like. In their grave like homes. Zombie like people in their grave like homes. How are the houses he passes by different from his own house? His home was vibrant, bright, had all of its electric lights brightly lit, every window allowed yellow illumination, square and warm in the cool darkness. This is there in the text only. But the other cottages and homes had dark windows. They were tomb-like buildings, important in a barren, lifeless, urban landscape, compared or likened to a graveyard, tomb-like buildings. But his home was bright and very vibrant. Specimen paper 3 now. See, the extract is there on the screen. Another important passage. If you go through this session, you will be exam ready. You just need to understand the concepts and read the text thoroughly. Which figure of speech is used in the first line of the extract? Simile. Why did he behave like a man suddenly drunk? He behaves like a man suddenly drunk, symbolizing his confusion. Suggestions, symbolism, very important. Imagery, figures of speech, important. And disorientation. He's confused, disorientation also. He's now considered not just a deviant, not just a non-conformist, but an actual criminal, and therefore he is taken into custody. And his reaction can be seen as a response to the shock and trauma of being taken into custody. What was he doing? He was simply walking, and thus he was taken into custody. This is shocking. This is traumatic. This foreshadows his loss of control and the disintegration of his sense of self at the hands of the state. Remember, foreshadowing the story's end, his dehumanization, stripped of his self. So exactly the same concept over here also. Loss of control, and that is initiated by the state. Why was there no one in the car? The car is inhuman, robotic, operated remotely. And what is the car symbolic of? The car is symbolic of technological advancements, developments, automation, and its resulting loss of human connection. It shows the extent to which dehumanization has permeated the dystopian world. We are not speaking about the driver, we are speaking about the car, and this shows dehumanization. Mechanization, automation, everything is so robotic. Describe what he found at the back of the car. Where was the car taking him? Why? Again, 3 subparts. And description and give reason together. So automatically the length is, but I think this is okay, considering that there are 3 subparts. Describe what he found at the back of the seat. He peered into the back seat, which was a little cell, a little black cell with bars. It smelled of riveted steel, harsh antiseptic. It smelled too clean, hard, metallic. There was nothing soft there. And where was the car taking him? To the Psychiatric Center for Research on Regressive Tendencies. Learn this. And why? Walking around alone is considered regressive. Mead has been walking for 10 years. The state has finally discovered Mead's efforts to preserve his individuality, and he must pay the price for it. In this dystopian future, in this society, he cannot retain his individuality. He must be conditioned. He must be treated for this aberration, for this lapse, abnormality. What type of imagery is used in the extract? Give 2 examples. The car smelled of riveted steel and antiseptic. Olfactory, sense of smell. And the image of a little black cell, visual imagery. You can see it, sense of sight. Why did he say that there was nothing soft there? The car and the authorities, along with the society, are cold, hard, unyielding. What is suggested by it? What does this mean? That there is no compassion, no empathy or humanity in the oppressive system. No compassion, no empathy, no humanity. Only rigid rules are there and attempts to enforce conformity and obedience among the people and nothing else. So there is nothing soft over here. It is hard, mechanical, artificial, superficial, rigidity. So this is the end of today's session. I hope you like it.